You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. Whether it's for food, fuel, drinks, or snacks, about half of the U.S. population shops at a convenience store every day. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Sweden is one of the first countries to go cashless. In 2018, just 1% of Sweden's GDP was circulating in cash. This and other factors have made for a smooth transition to cashierless stores and self-checkout. We're going to talk to one of the retail giants leading the way. Welcome to Convenience Matters. I'm Carolyn Schnare with NACS.
And I'm Chris Blasinsky with NACS.
Well, today we're joined by Mariette Christensen, CEO of Reitan Convenience Sweden, who is going to talk to us a little bit about this concept. Welcome, Mariette.
Thank you.
So Chris and I had the pleasure of visiting one of your stores a few years back, or several of them, I think. What year was that, Chris? That was
2016. We were in Stockholm, Sweden for our NACS Convenience Summit Europe.
Yeah, a lifetime ago.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure a lot has happened in 4 years because plenty has happened in just, 8 short months. So
that's for sure. That was a fun trip. I can't wait to sometime leave the United States where we are, but we're gonna do that virtually here with Mariette, who's in Stockholm. So Mariette, can you share a little bit with our listeners about Reitan and your stores?
Sure. In Sweden, we have about 400 stores. We have the concepts of 7-Eleven and Presbyterongo, which is a more kiosk concept kind of store. But we are in Reitan in Northern Europe. We are in 7 countries, the Scandinavian countries and the Baltics. So it's a mix of 7-Eleven and kiosk concepts. And the last years, we've also invested in some cafes.
So Mariette, one of the things that I was really, really excited by when we visited with the stores was the amount of fresh food that is in the stores. And I mean, the bakery, like you just walked in and you could smell it. It was awesome. And I believe that the amount that is sold in the morning day parts was just phenomenal. I mean, something that you would see here in the US and maybe a Starbucks or a Dunkin' or a concept like that, but certainly not a convenience store.
Now, we both have a history of a lot of bakery and fresh food at the convenience stores here in Scandinavia, but we've also put a lot of effort and energy into developing fresh food, coffee, bakery, and fruits and those kind of things the last couple of years. And it's our most important product category today. Yeah.
So that's interesting because, as you know, we are in the age of COVID, and like the United States, some of the in-store sales have dropped significantly in some areas, and the fresh food in the bakery and the grab and goes were shut down. Customers could no longer reach in and grab a bagel or a muffin or something like that. What was the scene like in Sweden?
The first couple of weeks, we closed down the salad bars and all the bakery and those kind of things were single packed. But then after 4 or 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, we started selling everything again. And now I would say that it's pretty much back to normal on what we offer and sell in the stores. It's a higher mix of single packed today than it was before because it's different what different customers want. But I would say that we are getting back on track with the amount of fresh food and bakery in the stores.
Did you notice any in-store items that kind of took off that traditionally were not, your huge sellers? So for the United States, like beer is doing really well. Ice cream, frozen novelties are doing really well. And traditionally beer does do well, but things like ice cream and toilet paper, for instance, really kind of have been some shining stars so far in our industry, whereas traditionally it was, more seasonal. So are there any kind of trends that you've seen that ordinarily, spiked that may not have ordinarily during certain times of the year?
Yeah, but now it's been quite a few months and now it's getting pretty much back to the normal trends. We actually increased a little bit in tobacco. And we also increased in ice cream initially, but that's back to normal. So the trend staying is probably tobacco going better than it used to. Maybe a little bit more of traditional magazines as well. Otherwise, it's quite normalized, and customers are getting back to their normal way of shopping, I would say.
I guess speaking of normal-ish, one question I had, because when we went to visit, we were in the city. We were in Stockholm, but and I think we got a little bit outside of the city, but not very much, maybe a few motorways here and there. Do many of your stores sell gasoline or fuel or even electric vehicles, petrol?
Not in the Swedish market. We don't have any stores like that anymore in Sweden, but we do in Denmark and Norway. It's pretty big. So then we have with a joint establishments with Shell in Denmark and YX in Norway. So then it's a co-work with a gas brand, and but the stores there are pretty much like the ones you see in the city. So we operate the stores. Yeah.
Here in the States, we're starting to, we saw a bigger uptick in road trips and travel. 80% of the gasoline is sold at convenience stores in the United States. So our stores have a pretty big fuel sales. So basically it's saying that people are starting to get back to normal here because they're driving again. They're going to work, they're commuting. We have inner city or stores within urban areas, but without gas, but those stores have always had foot traffic and whatnot coming in. But I mean, Chris can even elaborate even some more that we're starting to see people doing the morning routines but those have also shifted too. We have a lot of afternoon routines now of people who aren't commuting, but leave in the middle of the day to go do whatever errands they need to do and then get back to their home office. So that's what we're seeing in the United States here. It's just a shift, I think. But back to the top of the show, I was talking a little bit about Sweden and how you were one of the first countries to go almost completely cashless. Now, when we were there, they were talking, we had some really smart professors on stage talking about how the krona, I think it was going away. Well, I think they were predicting it would be completely gone by now, but I don't know. Is that still the case?
It's not gone, but it's quite hard to pay in stores and in restaurants and hotels with cash nowadays. There are a lot of places not accepting cash at all. And most customers use other payment methods, like cards or mobile phones or something like that.
I pay with my Apple Watch like all the time. I love, have my Apple Pay on there. And that's during this time of COVID, it's been the way of not having to touch things, not put our credit cards out there and not, just wave your hand, which also brings me back to what I was talking about a little bit with self-checkout and automated convenience stores. Now, I know you have some models that you've rolled out even as early as the beginning of this year and possibly before that. Would you mind telling us a little bit about how you got there as a company, why you decided to go more automated in terms of cashierless stores?
Yeah, I think both the market is quite mature, as you were talking about before, and it's been a customer-driven development. Customers want to spend as little time as possible doing payments, and they really, really want it to be convenient. So in Sweden and in Scandinavia, we also have quite high personal costs. It's a high minimum wage for people working in stores. So we can also do some more efficient customer service with being more on the floor with the customer, helping them finding the right products, cleaning the stores, and doing things that actually add value and not just helping them with their payments. So we started with some pilots, and they worked out really well. And from there, we just added on test after test and went for further implementations in the stores. So that's the short version, I guess.
So I like that. I guess it's pretty similar in the US as what you said, is that by automating some of the, what might be, a little mundane task throughout the day, there's much more time to spend with the customer and help them, find what they're looking for and, just create that experience. One of our colleagues, Frank Gleason, who was our chairman a few years back, he's from he's from Ireland and kind of grew up in the industry and is now with Aramark. He stood on our stage at the NACS show one year and said that, retail is not dead, but boring retail is. And I think that's a nod to the automation and the technologies that are coming into the stores, because you can create that customer experience that makes people want to go into the store and know that they're going to find what they're looking for.
Exactly. And I think it's really important. I was so happy when you said it just smelled wonderful and you wanted to be there. And we are working a lot with making people feel very welcome, experience our store from outside. And loyalty is really important to us as well. And with the technical development, we worked a lot with our apps and loyalty programs and the digital communications with the customer to prolong the customer experience and be personal as well. So I think the mix is essential, personal and digital at the same time.
Right. So 7-Eleven, out in Dallas in the United States, I mean, their digital transformation is pretty impressive. And just out of curiosity, how much of that can really, or is, what can European consumers see that maybe in the US we could see as well, just, by sheer nature of 7-Eleven being in that space?
Yeah, more and more. 7-Eleven US has made a tremendous development the last couple of years, putting a lot of effort and resources into that transformation. And we are a part of the worldwide 7-Eleven team, so we can actually copy a lot from that. But then again, we are different markets with different customer needs and expectations. So we take what we believe is great for the 7-Eleven customer here in Sweden and Scandinavia, and then we add our local needs. So I guess it's the best mix of that, actually. But we are very happy that 7-Eleven Inc. is doing a lot of good things with the technical development that 7-Eleven International can use. So it's great for us.
Yeah, they've also, made great strides even before COVID with, delivery and, third-party delivery services, and then through their own 7 Now app. I'm just curious, how ubiquitous is, the curbside pickup and things like that in Sweden?
It's quite big. It's not as we have not come as far with home deliveries in Sweden as you have in the States. We have a lot of home deliveries on bigger grocery shopping, where you buy several, for a weekly shopping or so. But the small home deliveries are not as widely spread, and I guess it's because we don't live as tight. We don't have as many capita per square meter. So right. The last mile is really expensive here in Sweden.
Yes. Oh, the last mile, the coveted last mile.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, we work with it. Click and collect is really big, and home delivery is big as well, but not yet in the convenience market.
Right. And I think COVID, perhaps, made the local market even that more local. Over, the summer, we've heard stories throughout Europe where, a lot of times the local convenience store was pretty much the only game in town. And, a lot of people working from home. So in order to get out and stretch your legs, you'd walk to the store. And it seems like, that the industry has fared pretty well globally. And just curious, are you feeling that, or is that a little overstated?
We could say that it's very different from location to location. We have both sides of that. We have a lot of locations at airports, which are, of course, extremely hard hit. And then we have a lot of train stations being suffering as well. But then on the other hand, we have the local stores, as you're talking about now. They're doing pretty well. So it really depends on the location of the stores, but we have both ups and downs, and gas stations are doing really well. So all depending on where you used to be. But a AAA before COVID is not necessarily a AAA location now,
right?
And vice versa. Yeah.
So, Mariette, I was reading, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong. So, please correct it. The presbyterongo stores, are those still performing well? I think they were in office buildings and places like that. I believe I read online, which I would imagine is a lot like a train station these days and kind of quiet. Yeah. But they're completely cashierless, essentially. Like it's a lot like an Amazon Go here in the United States. Right?
Yeah, it's very much like that. And I guess without having visited an Amazon Go myself, from what I've seen on YouTube and such, it's the customer experience is very much alike. You enter the store with your bank ID here in Sweden, and you just pick up whatever you want and walk out. And the products are paid via your app in your iPhone or your smartphone. And then we have some stores being established right now outside shopping malls. And you're right, we started with the working areas, but that was not a very good strategy in COVID. So we put a hold on that. We put a hold on that. So we are not rolling out more right now in working spaces. We probably get back to that when we are past this, but then we are finding new places to establish instead. So there's the biggest Swedish shopping mall. It's actually having a new presbyterongo December the 1st. So that is exciting for us, and we've had a very warm welcome on the market, both by customers and by rental and landlords. So yeah, that's
and exciting. I mean, just like the ones that we have here, they're not employee free. There's certainly employees working there. In fact, like you said, making the customer experience, making the shopping experience, and making sure the product is well stocked, even better than they would had they had to focus on checking people out and doing those kinds of mundane tasks. They can do other things that make it even more special.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, it's also important that we can establish at smaller places where there are not so many customers, because you don't have to be in the store all the time. Some employees can operate maybe 2 or 3 stores at the same time in a geographical area that is not too widely spread. So that is also one of our positive outcome of having automated stores. You can be there as much as the store and the customer needs you, but you can also leave to take care of something else.
Are you finding that customers in the age of COVID here, where at least, I'm sure the same for you guys, we don't want to, here in the US, to touch things. We don't want to be close to people. You need your social distancing, our 6 feet apart, all that. Do you find customers are more welcoming to that kind of lack of interaction, I should say, at stores than they may have been a year ago?
I would say so, and especially maybe the late adapters to new technology started to be interested as well, and think it's a good way of shopping. And also in our more traditional stores, more and more customer wants to use contactless payments and self-checkouts and so on, or mobile payments. So it's definitely an increase on those kind of services.
So Mariette, I have a question. So part of what we love to do at NACS and our colleagues globally is we get to go to other countries and we get to see stores. We get to see new formats and things that we've never seen before, or maybe have, who knows. But if someone was coming to Sweden, and I'm saying this because our listeners are literally from all over the globe. So if somebody wants to come to Sweden, what do they have to do? What do they have to see? What makes Sweden unique?
Within convenience, I would say you have to go to the central station, where we have a lot of trains going from Stockholm to all over the country.
I believe I got lost in there, so I will agree.
Yeah. It's a huge marketplace, which is usually amazing to visit, with a lot of nice formats. Our brands are, of course, there, but there are also very many other nice brands, and you can see what's cooking in Sweden just going in there. It's quite amazing, I would say.
And in terms of, unique food finds, whether it's, fresh or packaged, what's the claim to fame?
Our star is something we call Piccadilly, which is a salad bar concept, which is very amazing. We sell a lot of it. It's very, very fresh, and it's very customer made. So you actually get to pick and choose exactly what you want in a very convenient way. It's also high technology, and it's very, very fresh. And we see the customer want to use the salad bar even during COVID. So it's quite unique for Sweden, I would say. In Norway, we have a fantastic concept with the frozen yogurt, for example, and the bakery in all the countries, both Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. It's amazing. The bakery is. It's difficult to say no to one of those sweets.
It is very difficult.
I do remember that. I think I gained a couple pounds after that trip.
Yeah, that's nice. We have a lot of saffron products coming up now for Christmas. So, yeah.
Ah. So, Mariette, what is your, if you take a few minutes, talk about your plan for the future. I mean, compared to what a lot of us see here in the United States and even other countries that are listening, you are doing futuristic things, at least from our perspective. But I'm sure that as you said, you're opening new stores, more cashierless, automated stores. What's your plan for the next several years? Assuming everything continues to get better in the world?
We keep on having a high focus on food and beverage, both warm and cold beverages, and are doing very well on that. And we see that people want to eat more and more on the go. We also see a possibility of people wanting to stay in our stores, eating in stores. We usually only had food to go. So that is a difference where we are going to more of that. We also see more click and collect, click and deliver, prepared business to business sales. So I think there are a lot of possibilities going forward, and also the technology development of the customer's experience, not only how to pay, but how to communicate, as I talked before. So there are a lot of possibilities, and we are really, really excited about testing, piloting, doing some mistakes, trying again, and finding new success stories to share.
Mariette, it has been a pleasure to talk to you, to be able to learn more about where you're going and where you're going to continue to grow in Sweden and in Scandinavia. And I, for one, I've never been to Norway, so that's on my list. And I really hope to get over and back over to Europe pretty soon, hopefully maybe next summer.
Once they let us in.
Yeah, once they let us back in.
I really, really hope we do. You are so welcome. We miss all our tourists here, so we really hope that you could come visit us soon.
So do we. And definitely Sweden is on the list of places to go back to.
Nice to hear.
Well, I hope when you're able, you come back over here, give us a call when you come back on this side of the pond. In the meantime, thank you so much for your time this morning with us, or this afternoon with you. We appreciate talking with you.
Great. Thanks. Same to you.
And thank you so much for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.